The sun shines brightly through the window and splashes on my face, forcing me awake. Leanna and Amelia are both already awake, but Zach still has his head down as if he's still asleep. I look outside and squint at the sky. What time is it?
It's already past noon. We slept through the entire morning.
We did. Leanna giggles at my alarm.
Normally that would be a bad thing, but in this case it's okay. We're almost at Bazara.
I nod. Zach gradually wakes up, and we all make sure we have all our things. After another hour or two, the train stops and announces our arrival to Posada. The sun hangs high in the sky as one by one we step off the train. As soon as I set foot in the city, I'm assaulted by the sound of voices. Makeshift stalls line the sides of the roads and alleys as people pack the streets. Traders entice onlookers to view their wares, and customers haggle in heated shouting matches. Are we going to have to travel through that? I blanch at the thought of getting trapped amidst the sea of people, like sardines in a can.
We have arrived in Basada.
This is where we'll find Evermist?
No, as I said, it is the closest city to Embermist.
Considering the bustle of this place, I find it a little hard to believe that the hidden city is so close. No wonder Leanna seems surprised. Amelia seems to read my thoughts.
Of course, close is a relative term. We must first traverse some rough terrain and pass through the forest before we find Evermist.
She points towards the south, where I can make out the tips of treetops, and then she glances up at the sky.
Considering only a few hours remain before nightfall, it may be in our best interest to spend the evening here in the city and depart in the morning.
Leanna nods.
Good thinking. This marketplace is so huge. People say you can literally buy your heart's desires here.
Is there something you're thinking of buying?
Nothing in particular, but I would like to check out the stalls. Traders from all over the world gather here to sell their wares.
Hoi!
I glance down at my feet and watch the Pongo wiggle excitedly. He casts hungry looks into the crowd. Is there a lot of magic here? I haven't seen this guy so excited since he first tried to eat me. Amelia bends down and scrutinizes him. She pokes him with a finger, and the Pongo giggles.
Hi, boy!
I'm going to the inn. I'll meet up with you later.
Before any of us can react, Zach slips into the crowd. Should we go after him? Amelia doesn't even blink at Zach's departure. She's too preoccupied with the Pongo. Leanna shakes her head.
No, but since Zach left, I'm going to go too. Should we meet back up at the inn?
Sure. She nods and heads into the crowd. Since everyone seems to know what they want to do, what do I want to do? I'm ready for a little bit of me time. I head into the crowds and appreciate all the marketplace has to offer. After exploring the city, I meet up with the rest of the group back at the inn. Tensions are high as we eat in silence. I think everyone is a mixture of wariness and anxiety for the next leg of the journey. Even the Pongo is strangely silent and obedient. Once we finish eating, we head upstairs and find our rooms. Upon finding her room, Leanna suddenly perks up.
Oh, Amelia! You and I will be sharing a room tonight.
Amelia speaks dismissively.
Naturally, that would be more appropriate than the alternative.
She pauses, then looks at Leanna with interest.
Are you insinuating that you would rather share a bedroom with them?
Amelia points to Zach and me.
What? No! Of course not!
Oh, my mistake. Of course you could not have met both of them. There aren't nearly enough beds. You must have meant him.
Amelia points to me. Leanna's face turns pink and she shakes her head.
Amelia! That's not true!
If that is false, then why is your face red?
The point is, I'd obviously rather share a room with you.
Amelia blinks.
If that is the case, then why even bring it up?
Because I'm excited. It'll be nice to have some girl time.
Amelia studies Leanna, then nods.
I concur. Sharing a room has proven to strengthen bonds amidst peers and foster camaraderie.
You mean make friends?
Precisely.
Leanna grins, and Amelia smiles back.
Boy?
We all glance down at the pongo by our feet. Is it my imagination, or is he trying to ask us which room is he going to sleep in tonight? Amelia snatches her up in her arms.
The Pongo needs to spend the night with us tonight. We need him for science.
As Amelia slips into her bedroom, Leanna nods rapidly,
Yes, for science.
then follows Amelia into the room and slams the door shut. There's a moment of silence as Zach and I stare at the closed door.
Is it just me, or did that seem unusually suspicious to you?
Definitely suspicious, but I'm not even sure why. Still baffled by what happened, Zach and I enter our room and get ready for bed. Although the train was more comfortable than I expected, it cannot compare to a real bed. As I snuggle into the blankets, I soon drift into a restful slumber. Zach and I awaken at dawn and silently go about preparing for the day. As I grab a few items off my bed, I look over at Zach, who is fiddling with his gun. That guy sure gives his discharger a lot of attention. Morning. He glances up and nods.
I'm heading down. Meet me there when you're ready.
Sure. Zach shoulders his pack and leaves. This is probably the quietest morning I've had so far. It's a little strange. I pack up the last of my things and follow Zach downstairs, where I find him waiting alone. Where are Leanna and Amelia? He shrugs.
Still getting ready, I guess.
Okay. That's unusual. Leanna is generally the first one up. We wait a couple of more minutes before the girls finally show up, carrying the pongo with them. Amelia smiles widely at the pongo, grins back. Those two seem to be in a good mood. Leanna, on the other hand, looks exhausted. Good morning. Leanna smiles.
Morning.
The pongo wobbles in Amelia's arms as she nods her greeting.
We should move on so we don't lose any daylight.
Zach looks over at Amelia, who rummages through her bag. Eventually, she pulls out a map. I glance at the carefully detailed mountains and rivers. Suddenly, I'm missing GPS.
We will proceed eastward through the forest adjacent to Bazada. From there, we will travel northbound towards the Sonoa Mountains.
Her finger scrolls across the different locations.
Assuming there are no divergences in the course, we should arrive in Embermist by midday. Any inquiries?
Amelia folds the map and glances at the rest of us. We all look at each other.
Then let us begin our journey.
She leads the way out of the inn and through the streets of Bazada. Even this early in the morning, the marketplace is still bustling with people. Carefully traversing the streets and alleys, the crowd begins to thin as we reach the city borders. Amelia consults her map that continues out of the city. Without the high cover of the stalls, I blink at the clear blue sky. In the distance, I can see the dark leafy cover of trees. That must be where we're going. Once we reach the forest, I'm surprised by how much shade the leaves provide. The branches are strong, and the leaves are thick, exposing packets of sunshine. Amelia keeps the map on hand as there are no trails. Aside from a few others straggling and exploring the woods, I can hear the scurry of woodland animals. With so much cover and so few people, this would be the perfect opportunity for a bandit ambush. I look towards Zack and Leanna, who both seem unconcerned. I suppose it wouldn't make sense for bandits to hide out in such a forest, which is mostly devoid of people. We aren't carrying any cargo either, so there's even less of a reason to attack us. The deeper we travel into the woods, the thicker the canopy of leaves become, nearly blocking out all the sunlight. All the other people have gone, and even the rustle of bushes have become quiet. The Pongo nestles even deeper into Amelia's arms. Leanna shivers and wraps her arms around herself in a hug. You okay? She seems startled and drops her arms, trying to act normal.
I'm fine.
Where I come from, when a girl uses those two words together, it means she is not fine. Leanna blinks and lets out a small laugh.
It's nothing really. It's just that the woods are getting darker and darker, and there's a lot more shadows.
Are you afraid of the dark? Leanna shakes her head.
Nothing like that. But really, you don't have to be concerned. It's nothing.
I'm still not convinced, but I'll trust her. Okay. The forest continues to block out even more light. Soon it becomes so dark we can barely see what's in front of us.
Are you sure we're going the right way?
Amelia pulls a torch out of her bag in response. She touches her fingers to the tip of the torch and her bracelet glows. Then the torch erupts into flames.
Indeed, there is no need for alarm. The darkness merely indicates we're about to enter the Forest of Sorrows.
Forest of Sorrows?
I'm surprised by Leanna's outburst. Her face is deathly pale.
Do we have to go through here? There must be an alternate route.
Amelia shakes her head.
Ember Mist can only be accessed through these woods.
Leanna groans.
I had a feeling you'd say that.
So this is what was bothering her. What's up with the Forest of Shadows? I mean, it sounds spooky enough, but is it really that bad?
It is rumored that those who venture into the Forest of Sorrows never come out.
They never come out? She nods.
The reason people are unable to escape is because they hear the voices of the loved ones they have lost. They fruitlessly search for their loved ones, losing their way, chasing the wailing of the spectrals.
No! Amelia, stop! We can travel through this stupid place if we have to, but no more of this story stuff that isn't true and can't be true, so it's not true.
Although Leanna tries to put on a brave front, her voice grows shriller the longer she talks. Right. Amelia nods.
Then let us continue.
I turn to Zack. Do you think all that stuff about the Forest of Sorrows is possible?
It doesn't matter if I think it's possible, because it's the truth.
Zack! Stop!
As Leanna turns away, Zack cracks a fleeting smile before resuming his stony stare. The trees have now lost their cozy feel completely and look thick, old, and withered. The eerie silence is deafening, and each crunch of leaves beneath our feet reminds me of the inevitability of death and decay. I keep seeing flashes of beady eyes peering amid the branches. The squawk of crows pierces the silence, making me jump. Instinctively, I pick up the pace, as does everyone else. Leanna grows increasingly agitated.
Are you sure we're going the right way? I swear that I've seen that.
A cold gust of wind extinguishes the torch. Leanna latches onto my arm and pulls it close to her chest. Her eyes are squeezed shut, and she buries her face against me. The light returns as Amelia relights the torch. Leanna peeps an eye open and glances down at my arm, and where it rests on her chest. Her cheeks burn as hot as the torch, and she quickly drops my arm.
Sorry,
She trails off as her blush deepens. I bet her nerves from the forest and the awkwardness of grabbing me is making her flustered. She might be more comfortable holding on to me, but that's an equally awkward suggestion. No worries. Let's keep going. She nods.
right.
Zach waits impatiently, a few paces ahead of us.
Can we move on?
Affirmative.
We all hurry to catch up with Zach and continue through the forest. No wonder people get lost. This place feels like it's endless. Gradually, the darkness fades away as the trees are illuminated by an ethereal glow. As the blue and green light chases away the shadows, my mood begins to lift. The trees still look ancient, but full of wisdom and secrets instead of bad omens. The pongo swims wildly in Amelia's arms. He wriggles free and hops around with glee. As he hops, he opens his mouth wide, but loses his balance and blinks as he falls on his head. After a few more confused seconds, he shakes himself and tries again. There must be a lot of magic in here.
We have made it through the Forest of Sorrows.
Leanna sighs in relief.
Finally.
So Ember Mist is close.
The natural concentration of crystal energy would indicate we are on the correct path.
Ah, the crystals must be what the blue and green glow is from.
What do you mean, on the correct path? Haven't you traveled here before?
Amelia shakes her head.
No, this is my first journey.
You mean you had us travel through the Forest of Sorrows without knowing for sure that it would lead us to Ember Mist?
That is correct.
Leanna gapes at Amelia.
Well, we did make it through. And if we do reach Ember Mist, then she would have delivered on her promise.
Zack nods at Amelia, who looks curiously at him. While deep in thought, it looks like she's reworking a previous analysis of him. Then she nods back. Leanna opens her mouth to argue, but stops.
I suppose it doesn't matter now that we're almost there.
On that conclusion, let us continue.
We trail behind Amelia, the pongo blissfully hopping along, as she navigates us out of the rest of the forest. Ember Mist lies just beyond the edge of the forest, and soon we approach the heavy gates of the city. Two tanned men with leather armor and carved wooden staves inlaid with rough crystals stand guard. Their staves are crossed, and the light seems to shimmer as it catches the negative space between the staves. Is that some kind of magic?
Please state your business.
As students from the Mage Academy, we seek an audience with Elder Isim.
They look us over, and I shift uncomfortably under their gaze. Their blank eyes seem to burrow deep into my soul. They close their eyes, and the red crystals inlaid in their staves glow. The translucent glimmers increase. After a few minutes, they reopen their eyes and remain silent. I glance at Leanna, who looks back at me. I whisper, "Are they going to let us in?" She shakes her head, uncertainly. Zack crosses his arms, but otherwise doesn't seem bothered by the situation. Amelia stands confidently and waits patiently. I guess things are going according to her plan. Just when I can no longer bear the silence, a figure steps out from behind the gates. He's an old squirrely man, with a set of glasses which slip down on his hooked nose. He wears a faded and wrinkled open robe.
Elder Isom.
Yes? Who is it?
I am Amelia Estelle from the Mage Academy, and these are my associates.
The Mage Academy, you say?
He adjusts the glasses on his nose and peers at Amelia.
Yes.
One by one, he peers at the rest of us. He barely glances at Zack, but looks at Leanna with interest when he recognizes her guild emblem. Finally, his gaze lingers on me, almost as if he's trying to place me, but can't.
Well, come on in then. No point in standing around.
The guard breaks away as he beckons us, and the translucent shimmers disappear. After we pass through the gates, I look back, right before the gates close, and see the guards resume their original position. Elder Isom shuffles along the dirt path and leads us through the quaint village. The villagers tend to wear plain, loose-fitting tunics. Aside from the guards, most people don't carry weapons, although many of them do wear simple bracelets embedded with crystals. We soon arrive at a strangely architecturally stable clay hut. As we enter, I covertly touch the walls. It reminds me of unglazed ceramic tiles. We settle down on wide cushions on the floor.
How were you able to find this place?
Through you.
Eh?
Amelia pulls out a worn tome, where she has been keeping that this whole where has she been keeping that this whole time?
My old research. I thought I'd lost this.
As Elder Isom carefully turns the pages of the tome, Leanna clears her throat.
We were told you can help us.
By whom?
Professor Xavier.
Elder Isom lets out a loud laugh.
Xavier is a professor now. Good for him. I've been out of touch with Haven Guard and Lumia for many years. I'm not sure how I can help.
Leanna fills him in on all that's happened so far, beginning with the spiked energy readings and ending with Professor Xavier's advice. She keeps the story simple and straight to the point, carefully eliminating the fact that I am not from this world. Elder Isom listens thoughtfully, but grows more excited the longer Leanna talks.
The temporal rifts. It's been so long since I really researched them. I'm afraid I've been rather distracted. Still, someone is here hoping to discuss these theories, and I'm more than happy to talk about them.
He claps his hands excitedly.
Where should we start?
As I'm about to answer, a deep rumble beneath the earth stops me. What was that?
Oh, just the volcano. Nothing to worry about.
Okay. Elder Isom's demeanor remains relaxed. If something bad were to happen, he wouldn't be acting this way, right? I exchange glances with the rest of my group. Leanna looks perturbed, while Amelia and Zack both stay on alert. At least I'm not the only one who is uneasy.
There's no need to look so concerned. The volcano will not erupt. This is the first sign of activity it has shown in thousands of years.
Isn't that concerning?
Perhaps if it were any other volcano, but this particular volcano is in the domain of the fire elemental who protects us all.
This fire elemental of which you speak, are you referencing the ancients?
Precisely.
Zack crosses his arms.
The ancients are only a story.
Who are the ancients?
They are the elements of Asaria. The magic which we have learned to manipulate are the gifts left behind from the ancients.
That's how the legend goes.
You are mistaken. They are not a legend.
Leanna looks uncertain while Zack scowls.
You still believe in those stories?
I believe in the research, and Elder Ism has accumulated plenty of it.
Then where have the elementals been all this time?
We all return our focus to the Elder.
I suppose I do have a few theories on that as well. But the elements are a lot trickier than temporal rifts. The story of the ancients is so old, it predates our understanding of crystals and spheres. That's why most societies have forgotten about them and brushed them off as a legend. The people in this village, though, have not forgotten. When I arrived, I was purely focused on finding the fire temple for research purposes. But the longer I stayed, the more my focus strayed from the temporal rifts to the ancients themselves. If you believe that the cause of those random energy spikes are the result of temporal rifts, perhaps that is the link to the return of the elementals to Asaria.
So what does that mean exactly? He shakes his head.
It's hard to say. We don't know why they left in the first place. My guess is that something was keeping them occupied in the spirit world. Perhaps whatever that is was set free by the rifts.
Amelia hangs on to Elder Isom's every word. Leanna absent-mindedly fiddles with the manipulator deep in thought. Only Zack seems skeptical of this conversation. The sounds are really complicated, and not something that can be solved in a few hours. We need to get back on track. How do I get home? To get back to the original topic on hand, Elder Isom nods.
The temporal rifts, yes.
How would one go about creating a rift?
Well, that will be difficult. We'll need an incredible amount of energy, more than any one human can create. The only places with that much concentration of energy is in the temples of the elementals.
You said that there was one in the village.
Yes, the fire temple is here in Ember Mist.
Great! My body grows warm as hope floods through my veins. This is good. I finally have a way home.
To be more precise, it's on the outskirts of the village, built on the side of the volcano, but it's not a far walk.
Then that's where we need to go.
Leanna pushes herself to her feet, and the rest of us do as the same. As Elder Isom rises, his face falls.
Leaving so soon? I was hoping we'd have a longer chance to chat. I have so many questions about Illumia and the Academy. As you can imagine, one does not get a lot of news of the outside world here.
Perhaps upon our return?
Yes, of course. Well, you best be on your way then.
Elder Ism, it was truly an honor to meet you.
Amelia's cheeks flush as Elder Isom grins. She must really respect him. In that moment, I realize just how small and dainty she looks. I sometimes forget how young she is compared to the rest of us. We all say our goodbyes and then exit the hut. Once outside, we scan the horizon, trying to orient ourselves towards
Excuse
the
me.
volcano. I whirl around and come face to face with a woman wearing just enough fabric to cover her essentials and nothing more. Her long brown hair is tied up in a ponytail, which falls down her neck and frames her very ample chest. Before I have a chance to speak, Zack asks a question on everyone's mind.
Who are you?
Zack steps in front of Amelia, who frowns and steps away. I guess she's taking this bodyguarding business really seriously. Leanna holds herself stiffly, ready to move if necessary. The woman salutes.
Car Noir, treasure hunter extraordinaire.
Zack narrows his eyes.
What do you want with us?
Well, I couldn't help but overhear that you're interested in the fire temple.
How did you hear us when we were inside?
She taps her nose knowingly.
I have very sensitive hearing.
I fail to understand how our interests are of relevance to you.
I was just getting to that. You see, I've come to offer an extension of friendship,
Both Leanna and Zack raise an eyebrow.
or at least an extension of mutual benefit.
Okay.
It's true that the villagers maintain the fire temple, but from what I've discovered, they are unaware of the temple's secret passage. If you're interested in the energy of the temple, I can guarantee that's where you'll find it.
If the villagers don't know about the secret passage, how did you find it?
It's all a part of the treasure hunting gig. You have to be looking for it to find it.
Kara winks and gives us a thumbs
The
up.
best part is that I've already disarmed or made a note of most of the traps in there.
There are traps in this temple?
The temples are a sanctuary for the elementals, but any place that is easily accessible is sure to attract all types. There are measures set in place to protect the spirit from those who wish to harm it.
Like I said, I've disarmed most of the traps, but not all. There is one magical barrier at the end of the tunnel which I've not yet been able to pass. I don't have magic, but you do.
She gestures to Leanna and Amelia.
If you can magic that barrier away, then that's at least one step closer to finding your energy.
Zack crosses his arms and glares at Kara.
How does that benefit you?
She grins.
All I'm interested in are the artifacts and relics. From the sounds of it, you guys are more interested in something else, hence mutually beneficial. So, what do you think?
I look at the rest of my group. Wordlessly, we huddle closer together and whisper. I vote we let her join us.
If she's already marked the passageway and traps, then we can just follow her markings and break the barrier ourselves. I can't think of a reason why we would need to bring her along.
I can think of two. I sneak a glance at Kara's chest and smirk.
I must concede that I am impressed by her resourcefulness. It is plainly evident that she is not a native to Embermist, which means she somehow discerned the location on her own.
That's a really good point. Leanna looks thoughtful.
As a treasure hunter, her tracking skills could come in handy in the future.
We all stare at Zack. He shrugs.
Do what you want.
That sounds like a yes to me. Zack doesn't respond. He just fixes his steely gaze on me.
So does this mean we're agreed to join up with Kara?
We all nod.
Hi!
The Pongo sits in the middle of our circle and blinks happily. Where do you even go when you're hiding?
Let's go tell Kara.
We turn around and Kara stands right behind Leanna. Her face only inches away. Leanna lets out a startled gasp. Jeez, what is she, some kind of ninja? Kara rubs her hands excitedly.
All right, this will be fun.
Wait, we didn't give you our answer yet.
Oh, sorry.
She steps back and gestures for Leanna to continue. Leanna speaks awkwardly. I guess she feels a little silly saying what Kara somehow already knows.
Well, we decided to take you up on your offer.
Kara nods.
Excellent. Since we're going to be working together, first things first. You all know my name, but I don't know yours.
I'm Leanna.
Mage Knight from the Guild?
She nods.
I am Amelia Estelle, a mage caster from the Mage Academy.
Kara blinks.
A student to become a mage caster? But you look just like a teenager.
Amelia cocks her head to the side.
It is natural that my physical appearance would represent my age.
She looks at Amelia with respect.
That is pretty impressive. Who's next?
She looks at Zach.
Zach.
She chuckles.
Very clearly a mercenary.
And I'm sinless. Her green eyes study me, and although she's very clearly examining me, I don't feel uncomfortable under her stare.
Now that that's out of the way.
Boy.
Kara steps back and views the pongo by my feet.
You have a bongo! How cute!
She reaches down and pats him on the head. He beams at her touch.
And what's your name?
Boy.
She glances at the rest of us, but none of us make a move to answer.
Oh, is he not a part of your group?
He is. Sort of.
And you haven't named him yet?
Leanne and I shuffle uncomfortably. Zach remains unchanged, while Amelia frowns.
A pongo is a wild creature.
Kara straightens and pats Amelia on the head, much to her
If
dismay.
you say so. Okay, are we ready to get going?
We murmur our assent, and then Kara leads us out of the city. As we walk, another ominous rumble sends butterflies to my stomach. I can't shake off the feeling that we are literally walking into a fire. I glance at the others who seem unfazed. I guess it's just me. Pushing my insecurities down, I silently follow the group towards the temple. The road is mostly empty, with only one or two travelers coming back towards the village. The temple is an open structure with a roaring fire in the middle of a grand hall. High columns with flames carved into them hold up the building. Adorning the stone walls are beautiful tiled mosaics. There's one wall with some strange symbols scratched on them. They're very faded, and I have to squint to make them out. From what I can make out, 4 symbols surround the darkness in a square, with a line of fire enclosing the perimeter, trapping the darkness in the center. Huh. Wonder what this is. Amelia glances over, then peers at the carving.
Those symbols represent each of the magical elements.
She points to each one.
There is fire, water, earth, and wind,
Then she points at the center.
and that is shadow.
I've never considered shadow an element before.
It is one of the elemental magics.
Kara, Zach, and Leanna have already moved on, so the rest of us hustle to catch up. Besides us, the only other people in the temple are the monks who care for it. They're dressed in woven red robes, in the same open and loose style as the villagers from Embermist. Quietly they shuffle back and forth, sweeping the floor, or relighting any of the smaller fires which have burned low.
Boy.
The Pongo looks around in wonder and reverence. At the sight of the giant flame, he squeaks and hops up on me, claiming a spot on my shoulder. Kara bows briefly before the large flame, then leads us to a back chamber and stops in front of an empty wall.
We're here!
Zach sighs. Kara might be a little out there, but I don't get the impression that she's stupid. There must be more to the wall than first meets the eye. Is there a mechanism in somewhere which triggers a doorway? Kara's eyes glitter.
Bingo!
With her gaze fixed on us, Kara pushes on a brick, and a segment of the wall pushes in and swings open. She waves at the opening with a flourish.
Ta-da!
How did you know which brick to push in?
It usually depends, but in this case, there's one brick that sticks out slightly more than the others. If you weren't looking for it, you won't see it.
She heads through the opening and pushes the wall closed behind us. Then she leads us down a winding stone stairway, which ends at the beginning of a narrow passage. We file in behind her as she carefully picks her way down the hall. It's a very plain stone hallway with wall sconces lighting the way. I look down at my feet and notice a brick with an X marked on it. I have a feeling this X didn't make its way onto the stone by itself. I better not touch it. Gingerly, I step around the brick. A few feet away, I spot another X. Is anyone else seeing these random X's? Carl glances back.
I should hope so. I left those there so as not to set off the same traps again.
Makes sense. We resume walking. The deeper we travel, the more X's I notice. There are a lot of traps in here. Zach pauses in front of a corridor where the walls are covered in X's.
Why are there so many X's on this wall?
Kerr looks down the same passageway.
Oh, it's a two-part trap.
She points to a stone on the ground with the same X marking.
Basically, if you step on the ground stone, it triggers thick bars to shoot out from all the X's in the wall and block the path.
It doesn't sound too bad.
Only if you know how to limbo. The bars have something keeping them hot and will burn you if you touch it.
Okay, that sounds worse.
And you were able to cross that?
Kara winks.
I am very limber.
Zach looks at Kara with interest. Amelia looks between Zach and Kara.
Based on the dilation of Zach's pupils, it appears that Kara's flexibility is attractive to him.
Zach is taken aback.
I was just thinking that it's a useful skill set to have.
Kara has a mischievous glint in her eyes.
Useful skill set to have. In what context?
Zach frowns.
For scouting and navigating. You've done a thorough job mapping this place out and marking the traps.
Leanna looks amused.
Zach, was that a compliment?
He glares at Leanna.
No, an observation.
Kara smiles playfully.
Then thank you for the observation.
Zach falls into silence before turning away. I think that's the most I've ever heard him talk in a 30-second span. We continue through the tunnels. Eventually, she stops in front of another well of fire in the middle of the hall.
The barrier's here.
She gestures at the swirling metallic wall behind the well. The way that it glitters as it wisps and curls almost looks like a fire. Leanna and Amelia step closer and inch their hands in front of them before gingerly touching the barrier.
It's surprisingly solid for something that looks so gaseous. Maybe there's some wind magic interwoven with whatever other magic is here.
The Pongo hops forward with stars in his eyes.
Hi.
He dashes straight for the barrier.
Pongo, wait!
I stretch out my arm and race after him. Pongo, no! Instead of running into a wall, the Pongo passes straight through and out of sight. Leanna gasps and rushes to the wall.
Pongo? Oh no! What if something happens to him?
I step over and put a hand on her shoulder to calm her down. He's a scrappy and resourceful Pongo. I'm sure he'll be okay.
I suppose so.
Leanna bites her lip and stares anxiously at the barrier.
Pongo. Hi?
A blue head pops out of the barrier. What? He hops the rest of the way out.
Boy, boy!
Leanna scoops him up and hugs.
Pongo, you're back safe. Boy!
After a second, the Pongo wiggles out of her arms and rushes back over to me. Leanna pouts, then refocuses on the barrier. Amelia places both of her hands back on the barrier while Leanna holds out her manipulator.
Whatever is beyond this wall hosts a plethora of energy.
Leanna nods.
My manipulator confirms that. No wonder the Pongo ran in there.
Zack continues to hang back and observe. Bakara steps closer to the barrier.
But how did he even pass through?
Leanna shrugs. Amelia continues studying the wall, moving her hands up and down.
I do not recognize this magic.
She frowns, deeply disturbed.
Is there anything you can do to break it?
Let's see.
Leanna and Amelia both put their hands on the barrier, their manipulators glowing. They each transmit pulses of magic which disperse across the surface in a shimmering way. I think they're trying to create stress factors to crack the wall. After a few tries, Leanna sighs in frustration, then steps back.
Amelia, stand back.
She wordlessly obeys. Leanna gathers energy at her gauntlet, then strikes the barrier with an empowered strike. Suddenly, golden lettering forms on the barrier. Absolve your world to enter mine. What does that mean? No one answers. Amelia steps forward and focuses on the well of flickering flame.
If I am interpreting this message correctly, we must part with our most precious possession, our world, and throw it in the fire.
Leanna nods thoughtfully.
Kind of like we're freeing ourselves.
Kara's face drains of color and she clutches at her pack.
Are you sure?
Yes.
We stand around awkwardly until Leanna clears her throat.
If that's what we need to do, then it seems easy enough. I'll go first.
I nod as Leanna steps up to the fire. She reaches below her collar and slips a thin gold chain over her neck and then throws it into the flames. Taking a deep breath, she steps straight through the barrier. It worked? I'll go next. I step up to the fire. What do I choose? I fish inside my pockets and grab my playing cards. I've had a lot of good memories with these cards. They help me break the ice with every move I made. I know I can count on them whenever the words fail me. Reluctantly, I toss them into the fire and watch the flames lap it up. Then I steel my resolve and step forward. Just as I reach the barrier, I slam painfully into it. Ow. Well, that didn't work.
You sure messed that up.
Can I do it again? Kara shrugs.
Normally you only get one chance for these things, but it's not like you've got anything to lose by trying again.
I fish in my pockets and grab my wallet. My entire identity is in here. My license, student ID, and credit cards. The thought of parting with it makes my chest hurt. And reluctantly, I toss it into the fire and watch the flames lap it up. Then I steel my resolve and slowly step forward. As I cross through, I feel the tingle of energy and hear the crackle of electricity. There's a bright light blinding my vision, and I have a flashback of my crossing to Terra. My foot lands on solid ground. I pass through the barrier, unharmed. Gradually my eyes adjust to the dim light, and I see that I am in a cozy room. In the middle of the room is a fox, who switches its tail and observes me. Beside it is a beautiful woman with flaming red hair. Her delicate hand rests atop the fox's head. As I look at her over, her gaze lands on me. Who are you? The woman blinks at me and then smiles. For a second, I think the flames lighting the room flicker, and a warmth permeates my body. It's pleasant, like an embrace. Although she holds my gaze, she doesn't speak. How did you get in here? Again, she remains silent, but this time she takes a step closer.
Who are you talking to?
Huh? I peek beyond the woman and see Zack standing with an eyebrow raised and his arms crossed. The rest of my companions pause in their inspection of the room and stare at me. Kara stands beside an altar, while Amelia and Leanna are both kneeling by the fox. The fox accepts their attention, rhythmically swishing its tail, but otherwise makes no move to respond. Instead, it fixes its attention on me.
Are you talking to the fox?
No? I fall silent as the group casts me with worried glances.
Who exactly are you seeing?
There's a woman dressed in red, and she's kind of flamey, and she's standing right there with her pet firefox. Leanna looks towards the fox, but her eyes glaze right over the woman. She furrows her brows, concerned.
Okay.
Her voice is gentle, like she doesn't want to spook me. None of you guys can see her. The group collectively shakes their heads. I don't know why you guys can't see her, but I promise you, she's there. Pongo hops out from behind my legs. He first examines the woman with partial interest, then he stares in wonder at the fox. The fox cocks its head to the side and observes the Pongo. Pongo perks up and cautiously bounces forward. He pauses right before the fox. The fox's nose wiggles as it sniffs at the Pongo. Then it switches its tail and the Pongo squeaks before running back behind my legs. Wait, do you see her too? The woman giggles at the Pongo and gently pats its head. He shivers happily at her touch. Then she straightens up and takes a step closer. Her feet don't touch the ground, and her skirt floats ethereal behind her. Instinctively, I back away.
What's going on?
She's getting closer, a lot closer. She pauses once and draws near and touches her palm to my forehead. A pulse of warmth flows through me before she retracts her hand. As if something inside me clicked open, I feel invigorated with restored strength. The stronger I feel, the more translucent the woman becomes. Soon, she disappears. The Pongo stares at me with renewed interest. It reminds me of that same look he gave me when we first met. He licks his lips. Don't even think about it. The Pongo pouts and lets out a sad sigh. Kara waves her hands in front of my face.
Hey, are you okay? You kind of zoned out there for a second.
I think I'm fine.
What happened?
I'm not too sure.
Where's the woman now?
Actually, she's gone. Amelia reacts to my words by playing with her bracelets. She holds her manipulator up to me.
Curious. I may have a theory.
What is it?
All the energy which had accumulated here has now gathered within you.
I blink as it takes me a minute to register what she just said. Wait, I absorbed the energy? That can't be right.
As I mentioned, it is merely a theory.
Leanna looks intrigued.
How is that possible?
I don't know. I felt it after she touched me. Leanna's eyes widen.
I wouldn't phrase it like that.
Not in a weird way. She just touched my forehead, and I suddenly felt a rush of energy. Amina stares hard at me. Why are you looking at me like that?
I am merely anticipating the imminent reaction.
Reaction to what?
The high concentration of energy you just absorbed. The human body was not meant to process such large quantities of energy. At least, that has certainly been the trend with someone from Terra.
Amina's gaze bores into me as she emphasizes the word Terra. Then she looks back down at her manipulator.
Although, 2 minutes have passed, and there seems to be no sign of an adverse reaction.
Why doesn't she sound so disappointed? Suddenly Kara squeals as she gingerly picks up a rusted coin out of the remains of the leather satchel.
This is a genuine Vestin coin!
Zack glances at the coin and folds his arms, clearly unimpressed.
How much could a rusted, outdated coin be worth?
About a few hundred gold pieces.
Zack's demeanor instantly changes.
You don't say.
Kara smoothly pockets the satchel, and Zack covertly searches the room. As Kara finishes up her inspection of the room, Leanna looks around.
Well, since we found what we came for, we should head back.
Kara nods and leads the way out. As we leave the room, we notice the fire which had previously glowed in front of the barrier is now gone, but all of our items are still intact. Hey! Nothing was burned here!
Curious. Then it can be assumed that the purpose of this trial was not to destroy our possessions, but to test our willingness to sacrifice.
Kara happily scoops out her coin purse.
I'm not complaining.
Leanna smiles in relief as she reaches in and quickly collects what looks like a ring attached to a thin chain.
Let's keep going.
The rest of us snatch up our items and continue back out the corridor. The trek out of the temple is a lot faster and easier than the trek in, mostly because we were no more obstacles to have stopped us. We pop out of the same hidden wall in which we entered. Just as before, the main ceremonial hall is empty. We wave goodbye to a couple of monks sweeping the entryway, then begin to walk back to the village. I fall in step with Kara,